Mirs Kansa. My name is Stephanie Marcelin Tupalit, and today I want to talk about a research article, and the title is A Social Linguistic Analysis of Code Switching Used in English Language Classroom. So, this is a research paper written by 5 researchers from Universitas Palangkaraya. And their names are Umi Mujarni and Fania Liatnis, Dila Cynthia, Maria Arina Luardini, and Natalina Asi. This article was published in a journal called AG, English Journal of Indragiri, in January 2026. In this video, I will explain the whole article, from the background, the method, the findings, and then I will give you my own opinion too. Okay, first, let me introduce the topic. So, have you ever been talking in English and then suddenly you switch to Indonesian? Or maybe in the middle of sentence you mix the two languages together. For example, you say like, Miss, aku kurang paham this one. This is called code switching. Code switching means using the two or more languages in the same conversation. In social linguistics, which is the study of language in society, code switching is a very interesting topic. Some people think code switching is a mistake. They think if you switch languages, it means your English is not good. But this research says something different. And that is what makes this article important. So why did the researchers do this study? Well, in many English classrooms in Indonesia, especially in non-formal classes like tutoring centers, teachers and students often mix Indonesian and English when they talk. This is very common, but not many researchers have studied these informal classes before. These researchers choose a tutoring class called ProBimbel. ProBimbel is an English tutoring program. So the students there are mostly Indonesian speakers who are learning English. And their English level is from beginner to intermediate. These researchers had 3 main questions. And question number 1, what types of code switching do students use in the ProBimbel English class? And question number 2, in what situations does code switching happens during the class? And question number 3, what is the function of code switching in teacher-student interactions? These 3 questions will guide the whole researchers, and by the end of this video, we will know the answers. Okay, so now I will explain how the researchers collected their data, the methodology. So now I will explain the methodology. So the researchers use a method called descriptive qualitative research. What does that mean? So it means they did not use numbers or statistics to answer their questions. Instead, they observe and describe what they saw and heard in the classroom. They wanted to understand the real situations, not just count how many times something happened. And now I will explain the research subjects. So the subject of this research, meaning the people they studied, were 8 students from ProBimbel. In Indonesia, the students are called CASIS, which is short for calon siswa or prospective students. But how they collected data? The researchers used 2 main ways to collect data. Number 1, direct observation. The researchers went into the classroom and watched the students and teachers interact. They observe natural conversation. They did not tell the students what to say. And number two, audio-visual recording. They also recorded the classroom activities using audio and video. This way, they could go back and listen carefully to every sentence the students say. And how they analyze the data. After collecting the data, the researchers use a systematic coding framework to analyze it. This means they listened to these recordings, found every example of code switching, and then label each one. And they ask, what type is this? And what is the function of this code switch? And then they organize the result and wrote their findings. So the methodology is quite simple. They watch, they record it, and then they analyze it. Very straightforward. So now I will show you what they actually found. And now I will explain findings. So what did the researchers actually discover? Remember the 8 students from Probimbo? The researchers studied their conversation during class. They collected 8 speech samples and 8 real examples of the student using code switching. And also they found 3 types of code switching in the classroom. Now let me explain each one. And the type number 1 is called intrasentential switching. Intra means inside. So this is switching that happens inside one sentence. The student starts in one language in the middle of the sentence, switches to another language. So for the example from the article is, Miss, aku kurang paham this one. You see, the students start in Indonesian, Miss, aku kurang paham, and then switch to English. This one. And another example, Miss, boleh nanya, what is the meaning of talk? The students ask permission in Indonesia, Miss, boleh nanya, and then ask the real question in English. And this was the most common type, and it happened 50% of the time. And also there is the second type is called intersentential switching. Inter means is between, so the switching that happens between sentences. The student says one complete sentence in one language and then the next sentence in a different language. So for example from the article is agak bingung, I don't know how to answer. The first part is agak bingung is in Indonesian. It means I'm a little confused. Then the student switch completely to English. I don't know how to answer. And another example, soalnya is too hard, miss. Here the student is complaining. They are saying question is too hard. This type happen 25% of the time. So the third type is called tag switching. A tag is a very short word or phrase like right, you know, or okay. So in tag switching, the students add a short tag from another language at the beginning or end of sentence. For example, from the article, it's like, kayaknya ini adjective, right? The sentence is in Indonesia, kayaknya in adjective, and the student adds the English tag, right, at the end. They are checking if their answer is correct. And this type also happen 25% of the time. Okay, so now we know the three types, but the researchers also look at the function. Like, why did students do it? They found three main functions. Function number one is clarification. Students switch language to make their meaning clearer. When the students said, "Miss, aku kurang paham this one," they were asking the teacher for help. By switching to Indonesian first, and then they could explain their confusion more easily. And function number one, expressing difficulty. Sometimes students switch language because they didn't know how to say something in English. For example, agak bingung, I don't know how to answer. They switch to show they were confused, and it is natural thing to do when you are learning. And function number three, transition and collaboration. Sometimes code switching was used to move the conversation forward, to transition from one topic to another, or to confirm something like, "Yup, that's right, tapi kenapa pilih itu?" And the students confirm the answer in English, then open a discussion in Indonesian. And the big conclusion of this article is it shows that the students are using everything they know to understand and be understood. And that is actually a sign of intelligence, not weakness. And now let me share my own opinion about this research. I think this research is very relevant, especially in Indonesia. Many students, including me, sometimes mix Indonesian and English. Before reading this article, I thought that was a bad habit, but now I understand it differently. Code switching can actually help us learn, and when you don't know a word in English, using Indonesian helps you keep the conversation going. And keeping the conversation going, that is how you practice. I also think research is important for teachers. If teachers understand why students switch language, they can respond better. Instead of telling students speak only English, teachers can use code switching strategically as a bridge to help students understand. So, I personally agree with the conclusion this article. So now let me talk about the strengths of this research and what the researchers did well. And strength number one, real data from a real classroom. These researchers collect data from actual conversation, not for experiment or fake situation. And this makes the findings more realistic and trustworthy. And strength number two, clear categorization. These researchers clearly label each example of code switching and explain its function. This makes it easy to understand even for beginners like me. And strength number three, useful for education. The findings have a clear practical value. Teachers can use this knowledge to improve how they teach English. But of course, every research also has weakness. And I want to be honest about what I see. Weakness number one is very small sample. Only 8 students were studied, and 8 people is a very small number. Can we say these findings apply to all students in Indonesia? Probably not. We need more students from more different backgrounds. And weakness number 2, only 1 class, 1 location. The research was only done in one tutoring center, Probimbel, and Different schools, different teachers, different cities might show different results. So the findings might not be generalizable. And the weakness number 3, short observation time. The article does not clearly say how long the observation period is. If the observation was only a few sessions, the data might not show the full picture. So, based on these strengths and weaknesses, what should future researchers do? So, here's my suggestion. Suggestion number 1, do a larger study. Include more students, maybe 50, 100 or more from different schools and cities across Indonesia. And this will make the findings stronger and more reliable. So, suggestion number 2, study teachers, not just students. The researchers in this article mainly focus on students, but teachers also use code switching. How does teacher code switching affect student learning? This is an interesting question for future research. Suggestion number 3, measure the effect of code switching on language learning outcomes. This article explains what code switching is and why it happens. But does it actually help students learn better? Future research should try to answer that question, maybe by comparing classroom with and without code switching. So this article studied how 8 students in probable English class use code switching, and the researchers found 3 types: intrasentential, intersentential, and text switching. And the most common was intrasentential, which happened 50% of the time. They also found 3 functions: clarification, expressing difficulty, and facilitating transition. Okay, so that is the end of my video. We covered a lot today, what code switching is and why it happens, and the methodology of this research, and the 3 types of code switching found, and the functions behind each type, and also my opinion, the strength, the weaknesses, and ideas for future research. I hope this video was easy to understand. I tried to explain everything in simple English because honestly, I'm still learning too. So that's all from me. Thank you.